Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be going over all of the new players that were released Friday. Well, not all of them. We're gonna be leaving out a couple guys who I really didn't think were all that notable, but all the guys that I think are notable, the guys that you will be interested in maybe getting and putting in your lineup, we are going to be going over those guys, reviewing them, giving them a fag. So let's just go ahead and get into the video. Okay, the first guy is the 81 overall gold Seranthony Dominguez, and this is a really good card for a gold. I think this is a very viable reliever to put in your bullpen right now, and he could roll in your bullpen for most of the summer. I don't really see, unless you have just a absolutely dominant bullpen, or they come out with a lot of new bullpen arms that are much better than this guy. For right now, I think this guy is very, very viable in your bullpen. First of all, he's got great hitting K per 9, 84-89. That's not elite for a reliever nowadays, you know, since we can break the 100 threshold. 84-89 is enough for him to be effective, but it's not like on the elite level. It's just well above average, or I would even say very good. He doesn't have great control, but he does, you know, a lot of relievers have terrible control, and they're very hard to use. This isn't one of those guys. He's going to be able to spot if you're good with your interface, but the selling point of this card is his stuff and just how good his pitches are. First off, he can run it up to 100 consistently. He averages about 99. He's a 97-mile-an-hour two-seamer if you like to throw fastballs that move a little bit more. But the thing that I've noticed with this card, the thing that really sold me on him being a dominant type of guy, at least righty on righty, was that slider. He has a fantastic slider, one of the better sliders that I've seen so far this year. He's very difficult to face righty on righty if you have a guy that's really spotting that slider on the outside corner, or even breaking away outside of the zone. Very difficult to hit and very difficult to square up. He also has a serviceable changeup. It's probably his fourth best pitch, but it's good enough that he can keep lefties off balance, so you can really thrive off that fastball slider combo. So overall, just a very solid pitcher, and I ended up giving him a fag of a 7.6, which is incredibly high for a gold card. Next up is the 82 overall gold Scooter Gennett, and this is a very difficult card to grade because he plays second base, which tends to weight defense and speed and stuff like that a little bit more, at least in my formula. It tends to weight that a little bit more than hitting, but for this guy, I had to kind of fudge around a few things to get a score that I really thought was about right, because otherwise I would have had to have given him like just an above average score, and I think that this is a great second base option right now. Even though he's a gold and not a diamond, I think that he will probably play like a diamond for you, but not like one of the best diamonds in the game, but a very solid one. So starting off, well, first of all, let's go backwards with this card. He's not going to play great defense for you. He's not all that fast. That's the big thing that really hurts this card, is that, you know, a lot of people at second base and shortstop and third, they want to have at least serviceable defense. This guy is definitely going to be a negative for you out there. It's something that you're going to have to work around. But this card is a beast at the plate, especially versus righties. 102-88 versus righties. That might be the best hitting second baseman in the game, at least against righties. Now against lefties, he's not quite as good. 82-55. He's about average, maybe a little bit below average. Bad enough that you might even want to think about platooning him with someone that hits righties a little bit better. And once again, that does kind of hurt his value as well. So I couldn't give him a crazy high score because of that, but the fact that he just dominates against right-handed pitching is enough for me to maybe want to try him out, to put him at second and see if I can get enough out of him to justify him staying in my lineup. So for those reasons, I ended up giving him a fag of a 7.2. Okay, next up we have the 85 overall diamond Brandon Crawford, and this guy runs into a similar problem as that Gennett, but in a bit of a different way. Shortstop tends to weight speed pretty heavily, Not super heavily, but it is a bigger factor for shortstops than it is for most positions. And Brandon Crawford is not that speedy of a guy, but where he does make up for it is his defense. He has some of the best defense in the game. 95 fielding, 83 reaction, 91 arm strength. He is going to be an absolute gem out there for you hitting. You can see he has diamond shield fielding. He's going to be elite, one of the best shortstops in the game defensively. And for a lot of those guys, you might have a big drop-off offensively in order to get that defense. But with this guy, you really don't have to. It's only a marginal drop-off. And the guys I'm talking about are guys like Vizquel, Ozzie Smith, guys like that don't really hit but play great defense. Andrelton Simmons, even though I think he should be better. Guys like that. This guy can hit. 91, 92 contact, 73 vision. You're not going to have any contact or PCI problems. The only bad thing about this card really is that he doesn't have a ton of power. He has a little bit of power, 50, 65. For shortstops, that's about average power, I would say. So it's not like he's a nothing. He will be able to hit some doubles, some triples, the occasional home run. It's not going to be like a huge issue, especially with a new hitting system. That means that kind of makes power still really important, but not as important as it was earlier in the year. So I think that this card maybe has a little bit more value now than it would have a week ago, maybe. But right now, I really like this card. I like the fact that he's going to play great defense for you, and you're not going to have to give up too much at the plate in order to get it. So for those reasons, I ended up giving him a FAG of a 7.1. Next up is the 85 overall Ross Stripling, and this is kind of a weird card for me. It's just kind of, well, actually it's not weird, it's just completely average. It's average kind of across the board. It doesn't do a lot for me. He doesn't have dominant per nines, he doesn't have great stuff, he has decent control for where we're at in the game cycle right now. Not a lot of guys have control and walk per nine at 79. That's pretty good, so you'll be able to spot pretty well with him. But his stuff is just, it's kind of underwhelming. He does have really good breaking stuff. He has a good slider, good knuckle curve, good changeup. But, well, actually, the changeup does kind of lag behind a bit, and that's one of the big reasons why why I'm not a huge fan of this card, is that he only has an 8-mile-per-hour delta between his four-seam and his changeup, and he only throws 92 miles an hour. So it's going to be kind of hard to keep hitters off balance because of that. And for some guys, that can work because they have great per nines, but this guy only has average per nines. So because of that, I can't give this guy too high of a score. I do think he is an above average pitcher because he does like everything slightly above average to average. So I can't give him a bad score or anything like that, but I'm definitely not going to give him a great score. So for those reasons, I end up giving him a FAG of a 6.5. All right, moving on to the 86 overall Michael Brantley. You get this card from the ticket counter, and I think that this is a perfect example of a player that is really good in real life, or that would translate really well to real life, but it just doesn't work for this game. And let me explain what I mean by that. First off, my formula for left fielders, it weights hitting a lot. Defense isn't as important. Speed isn't as important for left fielders because usually, you know, those are your big power guys. But what it does weight really heavily is power. And this Michael Brantley, he's a solid hitter. He's a very, very solid hitter. But I would like this card a lot more if maybe it had a little bit better defense and played center field as his primary. I would like this card a lot more. In fact, maybe with a little bit more speed. So think Michael Brantley from a couple years ago. That type of player with the current hitting that he has. But right now, he is just a really great contact hitter that has slightly above average power. It's not great power by any stretch. It's just slightly above average. And I could be okay with that if he had something to back it up. If he had fantastic speed like the Lou Brock, or if he had great defense like the Alex Gordon, I'd be able to get behind this card a lot more. But the fact that he just plays below average defense, he's a below average runner for an outfielder, it's just hard for me to love this card. But kind of like the Stripling, I think that he is a solid card. If you put this card in your lineup, he would play fine for you, but he's not going to give you the impact that I think a lot of people want this card to give them, if that makes sense. So because of that, I ended up giving him a fag of a 6.9. I feel like that's fair. If you guys have been watching this series, you know that I set 6.0 as the bar for average or below average. So if you're above a 6.0, you're above average. If you're below that, you're below average. So I think a 6.9 is about right for this card. Okay, so if you're able to collect all of the Player of the Month cards, you will be rewarded with a 92 overall Justin Verlander, and this is a sexy, sexy pitcher. Justin Verlander is always one of the most popular cards every year. I kind of hate that they locked him behind a very expensive set that you'll have to complete in order to acquire him, and you also have to do a little bit of grinding to get him. So I kind of hate that, just because I like for everybody to have access to him just because he's so popular. But it's fine. This is a great pitcher, and you should have to earn him in some capacity. He has 96 hit per 9, 88 K per 9, fantastic. You know, now that we can break the 100 threshold, I can't exactly call it elite, but it's about as good as you can get without being regarded as elite right now. He has solid walk per 9 to go with it, kind of like that Stripling. You know, his peripherals are good stamina, good clutch, even though I don't really care about that much. But his pitch selection and his stuff also really solid. But the one thing I do worry about with this card is the delta. He only has an 8-mile-per-hour delta between his fastball and his changeup. But the thing about this card is he kind of makes up for that with the per 9s and the fact that he also can run it up 96, 97, 98. So you can kind of just use the fastball to power through hitters, and then use the changeup as just a bit of a mix-up to throw hitters off. And then if you want to go even slower, you can go with that 12-6 curveball that he throws at 79, and you should be good. I think that this is a really good card. I think that this is one of those cards that a bad player could use and get lucky and kind of run through a lineup and end up winning a game because of it. So I love this card. I think that that's what that's kind of what I'm looking for. If I have a bad game, will my pitcher kind of pick me up? You know what I mean? So yeah, I love this card. 92 overall Verlander. I ended up giving him a fag of an 8.4. Okay, getting into a couple of position players. 87 overall Gleyber Torres. This is a positional program that you can do fairly easily. He's not that hard to go about getting. You do have to do a little bit of grinding, but it's not that bad, and I think that this card is absolutely worth it. There are some live series shortstops that are better than this guy right now, but among flashbacks or legends or whatever that are released right now, I don't know that there's a better card than this 87 overall Gleyber Torres. He just does everything well. He's not average in anything. Like, his hitting is above average, his defense is above average. Maybe his speed is kind of average-ish, but I mean, 68, 52, that's fine. Like, you can get by with that. You can stretch some doubles, some triples. You're not going to be hurting for speed with this Gleyber Torres. And hitting wise, 86, 73, solid. 76, 75, solid. The only thing that I wish was a little bit higher was the vision, but you know, nowadays it's kind of tough to ask for that. Everybody's striking out a ton. 63 vision is actually kind of solid nowadays. But overall, just a great card. Very sexy card too. I don't know. As soon as I saw this card, I was like, yep, this is the best positional program they've come out with easily. So I ended up giving him a fag of an 8.0. And then I scrolled on down a little bit, and I saw this 85 overall Anibal Sanchez, and I was like, hey, Gleyber has a run for his money. I love this card, and a lot of you guys might be asking, well, how different is this card from the Ross Stripling? And in my opinion, he's very different. They don't really differentiate themselves that much in the per 9 department, at least hitting K per 9. They're kind of similar. Walk per 9 Stripling actually has the advantage. Significant. I mean, it's like a 10-11 point advantage over the Anibal, but 68 is fine. That's not going to kill this Anibal at all. But the big selling point of this card to me is his stuff and his pitch selection. First off, let's start with the stuff. 90 velocity, 87 break. He's going to be able to throw fairly hard, not super hard because I think that 90 velo sits on his sinker, so he's not going to be running it up there at like 100 or anything, but he's going to throw a power sinker, which in my opinion is more valuable. And he also has good break on his other stuff. He has a nice little slider, good splitter, good curveball. He doesn't have a changeup, but I think that splitter can kind of serve that purpose. And he only has an 8-mile-per-hour delta between his sinker, four-seam, and splitter. So that might be something to take into consideration. But generally with splitters, I think you can get by with a smaller delta, so that's no big deal. But he has a good slider, good curveball. I'm surprised that they have him throwing his curveball up to 80. I think Anibal usually throws his curveball a lot slower than that, but it's fine. It's whatever. It's still a very good pitch. And it's a really good selection too. If I were trying to make like the ideal pitcher to have pitch selection and everything, this would be about it. I might change the splitter into a better changeup or something like that, but overall, this is a fantastic pitch selection. It's fantastic stuff. And because of that, I'm going to give him the same score that I gave Glaber. I'm going to give him an 8.0, and I think he deserves it. I think that this could be a very, very reliable option in your rotation. So give Anibal a try. I think you won't be disappointed. Okay, and finally, this is a pack. You can pull this guy in the set 6 packs. It's the 88 overall Evan Longoria, and personally, I like this Evan Longoria card better than any Evan Longoria that they've released in the past year's games. Like in 17, 16, they were all okay, but I really like this one. He's a balanced hitter. Generally, in the past few years, those Evan Longorias were like they hit lefties really good, but they didn't hit righties all that well. This guy is extremely balanced. He hits righties good, 78 or 77, 78, lefties good, 82, 84. Kind of like that Glaber though. Actually, his hitting is extremely similar to the Glabers. He has 62 vision, so overall just a solid hitter across the board. But the big selling point of this card to me is his defense. I like having good defense at third base. It's not 100% necessary, but it's a big bonus whenever you can get it. And this guy has great fielding, good reaction, great arm strength. Across the board, he is an elite defender. To go along with some really solid hitting. I think that's extremely valuable, so I ended up giving him a fag of an 8.3. And guys, that is going to do it for this player review. If you agree with me, let me know in the comments. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. You guys may not know this, but leaving a comment to me actually really helps promote the video and my channel, so I would really appreciate it if you just, even if it's just to, you know, like say hey or something like that, I'd really appreciate it. Another thing, please leave a like. If you're new to the channel, please sub. And I love you guys. I will see y'all later, but until then, peace.